Live from Las Vegas, Nevada, you're tuned in to BeTerrific with continuing official coverage of CES 2017.
I've got Allison here from the CTA. I am so excited to have you on.
So happy to be here.
Thank you. What do you think of this?
Crazy. It's crazy. Like you mentioned, it's our 50th anniversary, so everyone just kind of has this sense of excitement and celebration, and we are all just running a mile a minute on adrenaline, not sleeping, but it's the largest show floor we have ever had in history. 2.6 million net square feet of space, so that's about 45 football fields of technology. That doesn't count aisles, hallways, anything. So we're just running around like crazy, having a good time.
It's pretty amazing. One of the things I've noticed is that everybody's talking about CES Past this year. We're talking about every CES we've been at. People are talking about the ones they started at.
Yeah.
And I think what's so interesting is how it started and how small it was when it started compared to how big it is today. It's really hard to imagine. I almost liken it to CES Asia, which in its second year is huge,
yes,
but still a lot smaller than this. And I was at CES Asia.
Yeah.
Thank you very
much.
much.
Yes, I loved having you there.
And they have 50 buildings at that convention center.
Yeah.
And I see CES eventually taking over all of them. Right now it's 4 buildings. And I said that to Adam as we were walking through, what's amazing is this is going to get so much bigger so quickly. We'll come back in 5 years and be like, remember when it was 4 buildings?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. The inaugural CES Asia was bigger than the first CES, which took place in 1967 in New York City. We had 117 exhibitors. Today we have 3,800 exhibitors, just to kind of put it in perspective. There was 100,000 square feet of space and about 17,000 people coming. There are 165,000 people here today. So just the crazy expansion. And when you think about the product category growth that we had, 50 years ago, it was TVs and radios, and that was about it.
Right.
But people were excited, and that was amazing, and that was cutting edge. Today there's automotive, wireless, everything is connected. We've got Carnival Corporation here. It's incredible. It's incredible.
It really is, and it's really amazing to see where the technology has come, and that's what we showcase. 1967 was a great year. My favorite Corvette is from 1967, the Stingray split window.
Excellent.
I think it's
I wish
styling.
I could say I was around, but I wasn't.
I also think if you want to get an idea of what was going on in 1967, you can go on that ride in Tomorrowland at Disneyland, or Disney World, which was the Carousel of Progress that was at the World's Fair either in 64 or 69, I can't remember which.
Yeah.
And it's just what it was back then, and you can get an idea. You sit there and you go, wow, this was like 1967-ish. And it's like, yeah, we've got an oven in our house. That was the technology.
Amazing, yeah, and it was, and people were excited about it because it was changing how lives were operated and how families came together. And just think about bringing appliances into the world. The TV bringing families together to say, okay, here's our program for the night. We're all going to be there.
Well, you think about it. The Beatles came to New York, to Shea Stadium, 1964, right?
Yeah.
And they were on the Ed Sullivan Show, and everybody sat around the TV and watched them on the Ed Sullivan Show.
Went
Everybody.
wild, yes.
There is no single band in this world that could perform on a TV show, and everybody would sit around the TV and watch at this point.
And stop what they're doing. No,
Right.
It doesn't happen. We're all competing for content across 1,000 different areas. It is a different world. There were 3 networks back then. That was it.
3 networks, and each one had 3 letters.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
The rule of 3, right?
So, do you have a favorite? I know you can't really talk about favorite product, but do you have a favorite all-time category? Like, is it home automation? Is it fitness tracking? Is it smart? I don't know. Anything? Is it TVs?
Yeah.
Is it?
So for me personally, it is the sports tech. I was a college athlete, so I'm always
What did you play? Wait, let me guess. Volleyball?
I was a runner.
Runner.
I was a runner.
Should have guessed that.
University of Maryland, go Terps. And so I was beyond jazzed with Kevin Plank's keynote yesterday afternoon, coming out. It's an incredible growth story for a company. They've been around for 20 years. They're now worth $5 billion.
Wow.
He was a football player who, everyone wore cotton T-shirts under their jerseys, and he said there's got to be a different way to wick the sweat off of your body. And so he started building fabrics in his grandmother's basement. 20 years later, you have Under Armour, and they are committed to technology innovation. And he keeps saying, I don't view my competition as Nike or Adidas. I view it as Samsung. I viewed as Panasonic, they're going to come out with the next smart fabric, smart shoe, smart watch. So I'm so into that.
They already are. They have all sorts of connected shirts and all sorts of stuff. And I think that you're 100% right. I mean, that's such a great story. We like to tell those stories here, and good stories. And that's the great American dream, right?
Right.
And this guy said, I mean, look, Nike makes that fabric today. Reebok makes that fabric today. Adidas makes it. They all make it now, or some version of it.
Right.
But back then, nobody made it. And they were the original. And I remember seeing them and hearing people say, oh, I was pitched this as an investment, but why would anybody buy a T-shirt for $70? There's no way I'm going to invest in that. And those people were kicking themselves.
Look what everyone does these days. It's insane. And so they presented yesterday, this isn't going to happen tomorrow, but that your performance wear will have all the tracking devices built into it. So your shirt now is telling you what your pace is and what your heart rate is, and it's adjusting. If you're sweating too much, all of a sudden the fabrics are altering your body to wick it away more. And I bought into it. I did.
I love it. I love all this data, and that we're finally learning how to do something with all the data, what to do with it, not just collect it. But I wonder, much like the way Alexa is in and Google Home are unifying home automation and all the different products in home automation through voice control.
Yes.
If somebody's going to come out with something that allows us to unify all these trackers, because, okay, I've got the Apple Watch, and then I've got the phone tells me information, and then I'm going to put on a shirt, and that's going to tell me information. Maybe wear a helmet, and that'll tell me information. And then I've got the glucose monitor that doesn't have to prick me. That's going to get information for me.
Yeah.
And yet none of them talk to each other, really. And so something needs to unify all that, so all the data is in one thing. And I think Apple's trying to do that with health.
Yep.
But it's not really there. And Apple, as much as I love them, seems to drop the ball with all these, right? So they've got HomeKit. It's clunky. Doesn't work as good as Alexa. Doesn't work as good as Google Home.
Right.
They almost leave it in the developer's hands, and the developer's hands almost too many times think me, instead of thinking universal.
Right.
And how do I make this work with everybody? And so it's interesting who's going to step up and unify that category.
No, I could not agree with you more, and I think that that's what the consumer is saying right now. They're being bombarded with option A, B, C, down to Z, and just I want to make it easy. I want to be able to go for my run and be eating what I want, and I want it to all tell me this in one solidified way. I think we're just going to have to wait and see, but I think everyone knows that that's the problem, and that's what we're trying to figure out.
How great will it be when your shirt talks to your watch, that talks to your phone, that talks to your glasses,
Shoes.
that talks to whatever, that when you get to the restaurant it says, Michael, you ran 3 miles today, maybe you need a little bit of protein.
Well, and that's kind of what so they launched 3 different shoes yesterday, too, that were all about, so you spend 3 days baselining your body, so it tracks you for 3 days. After that, you get a performance metric every day saying what condition your body's in. So it's saying, listen, you ran too hard yesterday. Today, take it easy. Or, you know what, your body is processing glucose right now at a rate that says you should go out and push yourself hard. So that is kind of bringing in the why almost of it's getting your data coming from your body and saying, what can you do today?
That's what's exciting.
Yeah.
And that's great. What about the autonomous vehicles? Are you excited about that? Because I truly believe now, as I see the autonomous vehicles becoming a reality, that we will actually have George Jetson's car before, I would say probably 2050.
Yeah. It is. It's been really interesting to see the growth in that space, and same as you, kind of going from this is totally futuristic, this is not going to happen, to all of a sudden, wow, holy moly, there's so much investment, there's so much R&D going into this that it will happen. I think the biggest question there is, and I was in Toyota's press conference on Media Day too, and they were saying, how safe is safe enough? Right now, in terms of traffic fatalities, the United States has 35,000 deaths a year at the hands of humans. What's that benchline going to be when it's at the hand of machines? And to me, that's like a very thought-provoking question.
Well, I would say if you can get it at that number or less, then it's safe enough. And the reason why is because I think that there's so many more potential accidents out there by tired drivers, by drunk drivers, by all sorts of distracted drivers that you won't have with a machine.
Right.
So I think if you can get at that number or lower, then you're good. And I think it's going to be here very soon. I think it's upon us. And I sometimes wonder, as I say, like, we want the flying car. Do we need it if all these cars are autonomous and they're routing? Would there really be traffic? I don't know. We'll have to see.
Right.
1997, I read an article in Auto Week from a guy in Canada who had the flying car. $35,000. He flew it. It was a prototype. It was going to be here in 5 years. Oh no, it was 85,000, but they were going to sell them for 35,000 after like the first year, and they sold like 2,000. Still waiting.
I was going to say, have you seen that flying around?
1997, and I never thought the guy was for real.
Yeah, yeah.
So hopefully, but we do have drones that can fly people, so there is that potential.
We do. The personal helicopters, as I call them. I know. Would you go up in one of those?
I'll do an autonomous car.
That's what I can say. I'll let someone else try it first. And
Well, let's put it this way. I've crashed way too many drones to go up in one myself.
I like it. I like it.
Maybe we'll try it on like the tennis ball first or something.
Yeah, something can bounce if it drops. Safety. Safety.
Carry that sack of potatoes that weighs the same amount as I do, and maybe we'll talk.
Let me know how it goes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Tell me about where CES is going in the future. I mean, I have this idea, and I don't know, maybe it's crazy, and I don't have any insider information on this, so I could nail this on the head or be completely wrong.
Okay, I'm interested.
I see North Hall growing so much with the autos, and I love it.
It's crazy.
That North Hall, when the Riviera is done, the Riviera Convention Center will become part of this.
Yes.
The Riviera has been torn down. It will become part of this convention center.
Diamond
Then
lot
we'll move
now.
the autos over there, and that will become, in my mind, and I hope, because I'm a big car aficionado,
Yeah.
that will become the biggest auto show in North America. We're combining the kind of idea of SEMA technology and an auto show, which we kind of have downstairs in North Hall.
Right.
And North Hall will just become more tech because it keeps growing. And this might actually eventually take over all of Vegas. Am I close?
I love that vision. And I mean, we pushed so hard, and we were in such support of the expansion of the convention center, so we could bring in new ideas and expand. So I'm so glad that you touched on that. The auto story is crazy. It's amazing. I sat at dinner last night with an executive from Ford, and they were talking about what they're doing at CES now, and then how they're going straight to Detroit because media events start on Monday. And just the fact that there's so much more attention being paid to CES, and we have 9 auto manufacturers here this year, 11 tier 1 suppliers. It's nuts. So yes, I think we're going to go a long, long way with automotive, and I think you're going to start seeing a much deeper tie into smart cities. We're going to have a lot of focus on that in the future, and how the connected roads are connecting to the cars, connecting to you, how 5G plays into all of that. And then the other area that we're going to have focus on and just kind of be thinking through the next few years is the future of the workforce in tech, because that's a big undercurrent in technology. Are we getting rid of too many jobs? How's the job landscape changing? What kind of education needs to come into place? So I think in terms of conferencing, the future of the workforce in tech is going to be a big area of focus for us as well.
Very awesome. That's a very important issue. I have 2 questions for you. I know you got to run. I appreciate your time.
Oh.
How did CES become the first week in January? Everybody's always talking about that. How did it land on this week? It seems sometimes so weird because the fourth quarter of the electronic companies are so important, and they're working on sales all the way to the end,
right.
and then CES
right.
at the same time. So how did it become this first week in January?
So when the show first launched in 1967, it was actually a dual show. There was a summer, there was a winter show. The idea was actually to take the winter show to someplace warm. That's how we got to Las Vegas. Let's go to a destination and let's go to someplace warm. And then it just evolved into kicking off the year with the world's greatest tech event. So it's after holiday season. That has died down. Hopefully there are executives somewhere that can focus on the experience. And so it's basically, it kicks off the year. We want to set a standard in the trade show industry. We want to set a standard in the technology industry. Realize it is not the most conducive to holiday celebrations, but the good news is next year our show dates are shifted back a little bit more. So I personally am looking forward to that.
Awesome. I think a lot of people are. It's awesome, but I love that answer. I think it's great. It is the best show in the world. It is the biggest show in the world, and it is the best technology show, and it does set the standard. It is CES, and it is phenomenal. I love it.
Thank you. I love it too, and I love that you're here, and I love that 165,000 people are here to see the latest, the greatest. I mean, it's just mind-blowing. It really is.
Absolutely. And my last question is, can we come back to CES Asia? We loved it, and we'd love to try and figure out how to do something like this at CES Asia.
Yes, and I love how you pointed out how, it started out the same size as the first year CES. We want to grow it. I think it will grow. The potential there is extreme. So we would love to have you back. Please come back June 7th through 9th, 2017, Shanghai.
We love it. We'll be there. Can't wait.
Excellent.
Thank you so much. She's Allison. I'm Michael, and we're going to go back to the stands for more of your live continuing coverage of CES 2017.
Live from Las Vegas, Nevada, you're tuned in to BeTerrific with continuing official coverage of CES 2017.